All right, so earlier today, the former FBI Director James Comey released his opening statement that he will give tomorrow before the Senate Intelligence Committee. This statement contains several key points that blow the Trump-Russia collusion conspiracy theory completely out of the water, and it completely shoots down the media and the Democrats and all the hyperventilating and foaming at the mouth about obstruction of justice. And now we've discovered, by the way, that they have been lying to you for months. Now, we're going to cover everything in terms of this self-serving document released by Comey. It almost reads like a novel in great detail tonight. But here are some very key points that I want to tell you about. Number one, the president did not obstruct justice. Comey never says his interactions with the president were inappropriate or illegal. And by the way, that this is key, that they constituted in any way an obstruction of justice or violation of the law. Number two, Comey told President Trump that he was not personally under investigation. The president wasn't. Number three, Comey admits that there was confusion between him and the president over a so-called loyalty pledge. Number four, if Comey thought it was obstruction of justice and he didn't come forward, did Comey commit a felony and violate the law? Number five, unlike his conversations with President Trump, Comey writes that he never created memos about interactions with President Obama. Now, remember, he also didn't put Hillary Clinton under oath during her FBI interview, and Comey didn't bother to have the Bureau create a full transcript of that interview. So let's start with the first point. The president did not obstruct justice. Now, Comey described the February 14th meeting in the Oval Office as follows, quote, the president then returned to the topic of Mike Flynn, saying, he's a good guy, he's been through a lot, and he repeated that Flynn hadn't done anything wrong on his calls with the Russians, but the fact that he had misled the vice president. He then said, I hope, remember, I hope, keywords here, you can see your way clear to letting this go, to letting Flynn go. He's a good guy. I hope you can let this go. And I replied only, he's a good guy. Now, first of all, any lawyer, legal expert will tell you that this alleged conversation doesn't come anywhere close to obstruction of justice like the media is claiming tonight. And then there's this from Comey. I had understood the president to be requesting that we drop any investigation of Flynn in connection with false statements about his conversations with the Russian ambassador in December. I did not understand the president to be talking about the broader investigation into Russia or possible links to his campaign. I could be wrong, but I took him to be focusing on what had just happened with Flynn's departure and the controversy around his account of his phone calls. Regardless, it was concerning given the FBI's role as an independent investigative agency. So, according to Comey, in his opening statement tomorrow, President Trump only mentioned Flynn and didn't try to bring up the topic or try to impede the overall, quote, Russia investigation. And here's another major point that the media won't tell you. There were only two people in the room. This is only James Comey's version of events, and now he perceived Trump's comments. Now, the president may have a much different interpretation in spite of all the insane, breathless coverage you might have watched earlier today. Again, there's no legal basis for obstruction, and that means the Destroy Trump media, which has been hyperventilating, foaming at the mouth about this, they've been completely wrong. Watch this coverage.
When you say there is an obstruction case here, who's your target?
The target would be the President of the United States and anybody else that was involved in that decision to fire Jim Comey.
As an attorney, as a U.S. Senator, do you consider this to be a growing body of evidence that the president might have attempted to obstruct justice?
Does what we've heard and seen so far constitute obstruction of justice? And if not, how might you go about proving it?
Well, I think it's getting pretty close.
Your reaction to this bombshell report and the White House denial?
3 words: obstruction of justice.
All right, now here's the most important point that the media will never tell you. If James Comey did in fact think this was obstruction of justice, and he didn't come forward, Comey could have committed a felony, and he himself broken the law. Now, we're putting up the law, the actual law, on the side of your screen, and as my colleague, Greg Jarrett, has pointed out, and he will be here in a minute to explain more, if James Comey thought the president was doing something illegal, he had a legal obligation to come forward immediately. That's not what Comey did. In his testimony, Comey says he didn't bother to tell the Attorney General Jeff Sessions about his conversation with President Trump because, in part, well, he thought Sessions was going to recuse himself from the Russia investigation. That would not be a reason not to follow the law. And then when Comey complained to the Attorney General, Sessions, face-to-face, about not wanting to be left alone with the president, he once again decided not to tell Sessions about his conversation with the president. Another key major point, Comey also told President Trump he was not personally under investigation, not once, multiple times. Now, this means, once again, every conspiracy theory you have heard for month after month after month about President Trump colluding with the Russians, the president colluding with the Russians, is not true. And given the mainstream media's nonstop, incessant coverage and the fact that Comey told Trump he's not under investigation, it is unreasonable for the president to say, hey, you know, it's not unreasonable to say, hey, everyone's claiming that, in fact, you know, I might be involved here, and you're telling me I'm not under investigation. Can you just come forward and set the record straight and tell the American people the truth and clear my name because it's interfering with my job? Now, do you think that's unreasonable? Shouldn't the FBI director come forward and tell the truth that he believes to the American people? But that's not all. Comey admits there was confusion between him and the president over a so-called loyalty pledge, which happened at a private dinner. Now, take a look at this from Comey's prepared testimony. He then said, I need loyalty. I replied, you will always get honesty from me. He paused and then said, well, that's what I want, honest loyalty. I paused and said, well, you will get that from me. As I wrote in the memo that I created immediately after the dinner, that it was possible that we understood or misunderstood the phrase honest loyalty. Now, differently, but I decided it wouldn't be productive to push it further. So, was it loyalty? Was it honest loyalty? And by the way, what does this mean anyway? It could have been a ton of different things. Is it loyalty to the Constitution and the rule of law, not loyalty to the deep state? Comey, or not loyalty to the former administration that Comey worked for? Comey even admits that there was confusion about that part of the conversation. And there's also a glaring double standard here. Unlike with President Trump, James Comey, he didn't write memos about his conversations with President Obama. I said this weeks ago. I think that's because Comey is planning on writing a novel or a tell-all book and probably be working for MSNBC and probably following Rachel Maddow every night. And he's a perfect black helicopter conspiracy theorist, it seems himself. And there's also the fact that James Comey did not require, think of this, Hillary Clinton was not put under oath when she was interviewed about her server, or that a complete transcript of that interview was said to be created. Why not? Why wasn't that done? For example, look at what happened to Michael Flynn. Now, the guy was tarred and feathered by the press when Trump allegedly said, well, I can hope you can see your way clear to letting this go, to letting Flynn go. You know, he's a good guy. I hope you can do this. I hope you can let this go. Was it similar to what the president said on 60 Minutes about the Clintons, that he, quote, didn't want to hurt them? That, you know, he was basically saying he wanted to let them go. Now, Comey apparently didn't want to hurt the Clintons either, because remember back during the campaign, he felt it was necessary to come out and announce the FBI's findings about Hillary Clinton. And Comey laid out that Clinton had secret, top secret, special access program, classified information on her unsecure server that we believe, 99% certainty, was hacked by 5 foreign intelligence agencies. But then after all that, well, he treated Clinton with kid gloves. You may remember this in July of last year.
In looking back at our investigations into the mishandling or removal of classified information, we cannot find a case that would support bringing criminal charges on these facts. We are expressing to Justice our view that no charges are appropriate in this case.
Nah, that's not mishandling of classified material by putting it on a mom-and-pop bathroom closet, the server, with the top secret information on it. No, that's not. Or getting rid of emails, some 30,000+, even top secret emails. By the way, Clinton broke several laws, committed several felonies. But she gets the courtesy of the public announcement. But the president, who the FBI director told a number of times, did nothing wrong, wasn't under investigation, did not get the same treatment. That's ridiculous, and Comey, by the way, should be ashamed of himself. This reads like a political document in every way, shape, matter, or form. Now, by the way, there's more to say in terms of the big story that we're following earlier today. Now, the media won't cover this tonight. Earlier, during a Senate Intelligence Committee hearing earlier today, the Director of National Intelligence, Dan Coats, and the NSA Director, Admiral Mike Rogers, they threw cold water on the narrative that President Trump acted inappropriately during their conversations with him. Oh, they're saying something different. Let's start with Rogers. While he would not comment on his private conversations with the president, he made his point crystal clear. Take a look.
In the 3+ years that I have been the director of the National Security Agency, to the best of my recollection, I have never been directed to do anything I believe to be illegal, immoral, unethical, or inappropriate. And to the best of my recollection, during that same period of service, I do not recall ever feeling pressured to do so.
Why would CNN or NBC ever pay attention to that? And that's not all. Listen to the Director of National Intelligence, Director Coats, and what he said.
When I was asked yesterday to respond to a piece that I was told was going to be written and printed in the Washington Post this morning, my response to that was, in my time of service, which is in interacting with the President of the United States or anybody in his administration, I have never been pressured. I have never felt pressure to intervene or interfere in any way and shaping intelligence in a political way or in relationship to an ongoing investigation.
And by the way, McNabe and Andrew McNabe, the interim FBI director, he said basically the same thing, as did others today. All these sound bites help exonerate President Trump. They're not going to be played over and over again in the mainstream media because it doesn't fit their ideology, their liberal narrative. They are lying to you, the American people, just like they are with James Comey. They're not going to tell you he has an axe to grind. Now, keep this in mind tomorrow while you listen to his testimony.